Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy day to join me. For real, it means a lot. So much that we talk about a lot of things, you feel me, as a male who identifies as a certain type of sexuality or whatever, you know what I mean? We've talked about things like shaving my legs, shaving a leg, and then shaving another leg, and also a bunch of other socially perhaps stigmatized things that I'm a guy that likes baking. Okay, that's what the whole video is about. So let's talk about that. Thank you again for watching the channel. If you're not already subscribed, take a couple of seconds and do that. It helps the channel grow a lot, and I really appreciate it. If y'all are watching the shorts too, which I know you are, in addition to the full length videos, I really appreciate it. That stuff just helps the channel grow tremendously as well. You know what I mean? So seriously, gracias. Grazie, sheshe, thank you. I really appreciate you, you know? And so that's exactly what we're talking about, baking. And honestly, I think it's an underrated activity for dudes in general. And I always bring up the sexuality part of it is because I'm an old millennial guy and I know that I'm not an alpha or a Z and that in the environment and climate I've been brought up in is kind of like when you say as a dude that you like to bake, it makes you look a certain type of way, you feel me? And that's not PC anymore, but it's just kind of some traces of the old man culture within me that I just can't seem to break. I'm just throwing that out there because we straight up live in a world, right, where like it's probably like I don't know, do dudes in their early 20s and late teens get together to have bake parties? I mean, probably not, but are they probably a little more comfortable? And even if they did, like what's the big deal with that? I'm just saying, socially speaking, in just like the larger sense of the word, I am a proud 36-year-old former apprentice baker. Yeah, all of that is very true. True story. I was an apprentice baker at one point in my life. This was as an undergraduate in college while living at the dorms. No, I was living off campus at the time, but I had gotten the job while I was living in the dorms. And, you know, what a good time in my life. I mean, I'd wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to some bakery and make literally hundreds of pumpkin pies. Like, yeah, I'm about it, yo. I love baking. So, my inspiration actually drew from my experience in college, working around food and smoking a lot of weed and being kind of like a chill person and not like I'm not the kind of guy that enjoys being behind the line or the hot side of service when it's all going down. And we have owned a food truck. I'm real familiar with the experience of all that. But I tell you, out of all the things in the kitchen that any person can do, if you're just like chill and you're not about like rushing to get food out or making it nice or plating it good or adding all the right seasoning, then baking is for you, which is why baking was for me. It's just like an art. It's like rolling really cool blunts. It is straight up an art. Funny story, I know something about the really cool blunts because, well, my roommate is like an aficionado with rolling some of these blunts, you feel me? And so, yeah, I'm just saying. Baking is where it's at, and it requires a lot of patience, a lot of fortitude in that like you got to still do it right. You got to like piece these recipes together properly. You got to mix all of what you need to in a way that is going to allow it to bake. There's a lot of science behind baking, surprisingly, which I guess is kind of the nerd in me too, because it is a real simple thing, but then it requires a whole lot of thought, like a whole lot of thought. And we're pretty high in elevation here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so at the southern tip of the Rocky Mountains, you feel me? Yeah, so it's kind of a different vibe to bake here just because of that. They used to make cookbooks, right? On like how to use conventional ovens in different altitudes. This was way before my time. And I think that it was more kind of like in the time of maybe the Bidens. I don't know. This is old school. So baking is cool. And I feel like if you're a dude that's got like any type of issue with baking, in that you don't want to bake because it makes you look a kind of way, or you don't like other dudes that bake because it makes them feel a certain type of way, or that's just all real weird, pick up a freaking cupcake pan, go to the, like, Google it on the phone. You feel me? I know these things because I've done them. I'm like, man, I want to make a cake today. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes I wake up and I want to bake a cake. So what? I go to the store, I buy some cake mix, I come back home, and I make a cake. You feel me? So again, get your hands dirty, literally. Bake something, you'll have fun. If you've never baked anything before, especially, you'll realize that it's very time consuming, requires, again, a lot of patience and some detail, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to bang out all that work and then throw something in the oven and come back hours later while you're just checking on it periodically. You feel me? A job well done. So maybe bakers and stoners are kind of synonymous in that regard. You know what I mean? Because, well, we're both kind of baked. I know, silly joke, but I'm also a silly person. So thanks for watching the channel again. I really appreciate it, guys. And seriously, I say it all the time, and I know it's a solicitation at this point. I get it, but if you're watching the videos already, do consider subscribing because it helps out the channel a lot. So thanks, and I hope y'all have a great night.